Good afternoon. Welcome to your first video lesson. I'm super excited. I hope you are too. We're going to get started in our first topic. It's numeration, topic 1. And our first lesson is going to be over place value. So, by the end of this lesson, my goal for you is to be able to write numbers to trillions in expanded word and standard form, and also be able to give the values of specified digits. So that might all sound confusing right now, but we're going to get it all cleared up. So, first, before we start, I got my little cheat sheet stuff here. We are going to kind of set our purpose, all right? So you've learned how to read numbers up to millions. Today, we're going to learn how to read even greater numbers than that. Okay, so what I want to do before we start is just kind of set the tone, get started thinking about it. So what I want you to do is just think of a time that you've seen a super large number, a big number, okay? Some things that you might be thinking of, distances to planets, populations of countries, like the government debt, right? That's always growing, it's getting bigger and bigger. Those are big numbers. Those are the kind of numbers that we're going to be talking about today, all right? So, when we talk about these large numbers, we need to kind of get those in perspective and start thinking about how big they are. So, what I want you to do to start is I want you to use what you already know about place value, and I want you to decide how many 1 millions it takes to make a billion. So how many 1 millions does it take to make a billion? And now it might be kind of confusing, but here's what I'm going to do to kind of help clear that up. Okay, here's a hint. What I want you to do is look at numbers 1 to 1,000. Okay, there's 1, right? That's good. Now that's 1,001, right? I wrote that backwards at first, sorry. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to kind of keep taking this a little bit further. So we have 1 to 1,000. Okay, now that's in the millions place. I know it's not exactly a million, it's got some extra numbers in there, but that's a million, right? So now we're at a billion. What I want you to do is take a look at this gap that we're jumping. So we go from 1 to 1,000. So right now we just went times 1,000, right? Now if we take this next gap and we go 1,000 to a million, that's another 1,000. So now if we look at our third gap, from a million to a billion, it's times 1,000. So if you picked up on that pattern, each time we're going times 1,000. So if we look from our gap from millions to billions, we're multiplying that times 1,000. So we are increasing times 1,000 million. So there's 1,000 millions in a billion. Is that a lot? Yes. So now I'm going to write a big number on the board, and we're going to check that out. So give me 1 second. All right, here's the number that we're going to be looking at. Okay, so here's the number that we're looking at. A little background knowledge. Anytime that you have 3 digits next to each other, that's going to be called a period. So if I write the number 101, that's 1 period. There's 3 digits that are going together. Now let's look at the next number. If I put that 100,000 in 1, or 100,101, then there's 2 periods. There's the first period, that's 3 digits, and there's the second period, that's 3 digits. So anytime you have 3 digits together in a number, that's called a period. Okay, so that's going to kind of help us out. And I'll leave that up for you, actually. Okay, so looking at this number that we just wrote, what are the first 4 periods? Okay, so beginning with the least, the first period we have are the ones, the thousands, the millions, and billions. Okay? So, oh, I doubled up on a number. Let's redraw those. Ones, thousands, millions, and then the billions, right? We all make mistakes. Mr. Hall does too. So, we're looking at 4 different periods. So, if I were to ask you, in what period or in what place is the digit 8? So, if you look back at this number here, you're going to see that the 8 is in the thousands place. What's its value? Well, it's in the thousands place, and there's an 8, so it's 8,000, right? Why is this number kind of hard to read? Okay, I didn't put commas in it. So what do commas separate? If we look at this, I divided it with the lines, and that kind of helped a little bit. But we put commas in because that separates each of the periods. So if I put in those commas, it automatically makes it a little bit easier, right? So what we're going to do is write this number with commas, and we're going to put it in a place value chart to help us write the numbers. Okay, we're going to work backwards from right to left to place all of the digits in our place value chart. All right, go ahead and follow along with me, and we're going to write our own place values in. So starting with the smallest to greatest, right? We're going to go with this 6. What place is that in? It's the ones. So you should be writing this along with me. If you haven't written down this number, go ahead and write it in, and then chart this with me. So if you need to pause it, go ahead and pause, but go ahead and catch up, get this number written, and then we're going to write the different place values. So we have the ones, the 0 digit, this is in the tens. Now we're looking at the 5. What place is that in? The hundreds. We already talked about the 8 here, and the 8 is in the thousands. Now we're looking at the 5. The 5 is going to be in the 10,000s. Okay, and now we're looking at the next one, which is going to be the 7. That's in the 100,000s. Okay, now we jump into the next period, right? The next set of 3 digits of numbers. And now we're looking at 1 million. And our pattern is going to continue. So now we go 1 million, we're going to go 10 million, and then 100 million. So we go and write the next 2. All right, so now we're going into the next period, which is going to be our billions. So we're going to do the same pattern again. It's going to be billions, 10 billions, and 100 billions. Okay, so those are some place values that we're going to be working with, okay? Now let's take a look at some vocabulary. Okay, so since we're looking at vocabulary, go ahead and flip to the vocabulary section at the beginning of this topic, and wait for just a second. I'll have you write what we're going to be doing here. Actually, go ahead and write this number. All right, I'm going to write 542,806. Okay, so here's what we're talking about. We're talking about expanded form. Okay, so as your definition, expanded form Mr. Hall's handwriting looks very good on that. Try to make yours look a little bit better. But we're talking about expanded form. So there's different ways to write numbers. One way to write a number is expanded form. The expanded form of this number is going to look like this, and this is going to work as your definition. You don't have to write new words, but this is expanded form to remember. A lot of you already know, but so we're talking about place value, that where the digit is located. So the 5, if you remember from our place value chart that we just made, the 5 is in the 100,000. So we write it's 500,000 plus, we're just expanding this number, we're blowing it up. So the next number that we're looking at is that 4. The 4 is in the 10,000s place, right? So we are going to do 500,000 plus 40,000 plus the 2 is in the thousands place. So since the 2 digit is in the thousands place, we're going to write 2,000 plus 8 is in the hundreds place, so it's plus 800 plus nothing is in the 10th place, so we can just leave that alone. And then the 6 is going to be in the ones place, so it's 6 times 1 is going to be 6. Yeah, 6. 6 times 1 is 6. So hopefully you've been doing reflex math. Maybe that'll help you out a little bit. That's the problem of the day right there, 6 times 1. All right, moving on though. Here's what I want you to do in your, back to the topic lesson part of your notebook. In the PDIL section, hopefully you've already taken notes. If you didn't, that's all right. You're going to start now. Make sure that you are good to go. Well, I'm going to write a number on the board, and once I write that number, what I want you to do is give me, let me look and make sure I'm having you do the right thing. I want you to copy the number, write the number with commas. I want you to write it in word form, and then I want you to write it in expanded form. So I'll write the number, go ahead and pause the video, do your thing, and then start it up again, and I'll throw the answer up there so you can double check and make sure that you're on the right track. So, give me just a second. The magic of video, there's your number. Go ahead and get it started, and then we'll use a little more magic. Pause right now. No, right now. So you didn't pause it. So go ahead and pause it, and then once you write it, then check the answer. Don't be, using my answer. That's cheating. All right, so pause it. Ready, go. All right, with the moving magic, I'm going to step aside and let you see what we have written here. So I threw in the commas. We separated our periods by every 3 digits starting from the right. So starting with the smallest, we go 1, 2, 3, comma, 1, 2, 3, comma, 1, 2, 3, comma, right? Then here's the number written out. It's 1,204,507,890. Okay, and if you notice, when I did the expanded form, I did a little bit different than in our notes, but that's okay. I wanted to show you there's 2 ways that we can do it. You can either write 1 billion plus 200 million plus 4 million plus 500,000 plus 7,000 plus 800 plus 90, or the way I did it was I did 1 times 1 billion because I have 1 in the billions place. Then I did 2 times 100 million because there's 2 in the 100 million. Then I did plus 4 times the million because there's 4 in the millions. Okay, you might see it both ways, so I wanted to kind of get your feet wet in both of them. Either way you do it is fine. Both of them show me that you know the place value. So either way you want to do it, that's great. Okay, so that's the answer to that problem. So that's your lesson for tonight. We're not going to do the guided practice. The guided practice is what we are going to take care of in class, just to kind of slowly, gradually get into things. So I'll see you in class tomorrow. Bye.